you deserve. Plus, win $1,000 daily. Terms and conditions apply. Visit our website at bankofstlucia.com/tistheseason or contact us via WhatsApp at 729-2675 or 720-2675 for more information. 'Tis the season of winning. Bank of St. Lucia, all the bank you need.
Get more financial freedom with the Bank of St. Lucia Visa Credit Card. With the Bank of St. Lucia Visa Credit Card, you're not just spending, you're winning. Every time you use your credit card, you automatically enter to win $1,000 daily. That's right, 1,000 reasons to celebrate every day. Shop, dine, travel with the Bank of St. Lucia Visa Credit Card. And the best part, you're not just a customer, you're a potential winner. Don't miss out on your chance to win $1,000 daily until Christmas. Apply for your Bank of St. Lucia Visa Credit Card today. Terms and conditions apply. Visit our website at bankofstlucia.com/tistheseason or contact us via WhatsApp at 729-2675 or 720-2675 for more information. 'Tis the season of winning. Bank of St. Lucia, all the bank you need.
We present to you Youth Unplugged. Youth Unplugged is a program designed to provide a platform for all young people who have achieved or are achieving success socially, economically, academically, in business, in music, as an entrepreneur, and yes, in just simply defying the odds. To share the experience with all of St. Lucia and the world. Their stories are theirs to tell, and RCI has created this platform of influence so that their voices can be heard. Youth Unplugged, every Thursday, 3 p.m. on RCI, the station that cares about the youth.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Youth Unplugged, the first edition of Youth Unplugged for the year 2024. And I'm very glad that I could start off the year with a good friend of mine, Miss Jodie Lubin. Good afternoon, Jodie. How are you?
Good afternoon, Quick. I am well. Thank you for having me.
Stop right there. You know, when we do Youth Unplugged,
School me now.
you can't call me Quick. You have to call me Khalidd.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Khalidd.
Right, that's how we start our things. Okay, Jodie, I know you very well, and I think that's why today is going to be very exciting. But I want St. Lucia to know you. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Jodie, as Khalidd would have said. I am from the United States of Manipur. So Manipur, big up yourself, you lad. I currently own a business called Japanos. It's the new trending hotspot on the Rodney Bay Strip. I am an entrepreneur and I own that completely. And I'm also the mother of a very beautiful young boy who's 8 months. He just turned 9. Sorry, he actually just turned 9 months yesterday. Okay. So I'm also a new mom.
Well, there's a lot that happened in the last year or so.
Indeed.
But I want to go a little bit further and I go right back, because I know you for a few years now. We attended the University of the West Indies together.
Yes.
But before that, those who probably forgot Jodie, or probably know the name Jodie, but I can't remember. Jodie, what was the first school you went to? We're working up, eh?
Okay, so I attended the Pastiers Combined School. I moved on to the Fuford Comprehensive School. I also attended the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College and then the University of the West Indies Cave Hill campus, where I pursued a degree in psychology. It was actually a special in psychology. So it was psychology, and some more psychology.
It's a lot of psychology.
A lot of psychology.
Okay, so what inspired you to study psychology? Because, typically when you go to secondary school, psychology is not really a subject. You do
it's a discipline.
Yeah, but you do social studies. Probably you go to Sir Arthur, you do a bit of sociology, Then people study psychology. I've never really understood that. I did a few courses in psychology myself at the UWI, and I think it really broadened
your understanding.
My understanding of a lot of different topics. For example, how medicine is administered, the medical world, things like autonomy, etc., gender. It helps, especially when doing a show like this. You have different people with different backgrounds who come in, and psychology is a big thing, right? So I think that helped you some way.
Definitely. I think help is an understatement. I'll go back to your initial question. What inspired me to study psychology? There's actually a very interesting backstory to that.
I'd love to hear that.
Initially, I would have applied to study political science. That was my first decision, rather, to study political science.
Now, that makes sense, eh?
Yeah, right?
That makes sense, but we'll see why that makes sense.
Right? And then I think about 2 weeks before the semester would have started, I decided that I should probably go into mental health, delve into mental health, because I realized that I would have probably had a greater impact on my society if I became a mental health practitioner.
Okay.
When I went to secondary school, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term pair helpers.
Yeah.
But I was a pair helper, and I did very well at that. And I thought that my talents, my skills, my outgoing personality would have been better suited for a job, rather, like a psychologist. So I decided to study psychology.
So you think you can listen to people?
I thought I could listen to people.
Oh, you thought?
I thought I could listen to people until I did a course called counseling. I think it had something to do with counseling. I can't remember the exact name of the course. And I felt like I was way too empathetic to be a counselor. I felt like I would not have had the discipline to remain a professional. So because in psychology, when you
become a bit impartial.
Yes. I was way too passionate. I'm way too passionate about people and people bettering themselves and growth. And I realized that if I had become a psychologist or I became a counselor and persons were not developing in the way that I thought was best, I would have stepped out of my professionalism. And so in order to preserve myself and preserve my good name and my reputation, I decided, hey, you know what? Maybe I should do some research in psychology. And then I delved more into research and had my research project. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I also realized that there was a dearth of research in the Caribbean, and that has us at a standstill because many decisions are made without empirical evidence, on hunches.
Yeah, we don't have data.
Exactly.
And it's not only with respect to psychology, but a million other things.
Exactly.
You could go and study chemistry, then we don't have reagents.
Exactly.
We always missing something.
Exactly.
In Caribbean culture, we always missing something.
Okay. And I thought that, in psychology, we needed the data because we as a Caribbean people, we are not like anybody else. I'll not even delve into, the whole...
Now, we could talk about it because one thing people always tell you, Caribbean people, if you have a problem, the first place you go is by a bar, or you go to your barber shop or the nail salon, or the actual salon as well, because people speak their business in these places. Write a letter to Iowa. Tell Iowa at RCI, say, Lucia, and we have a program for that.
Exactly.
So we could talk about how communicating one's feelings or counseling is something that we don't really do much of. I know. So when someone studies psychology, I'm guessing that they want to delve a little bit further into that.
Well, one of the main things that I understood when I studied psychology and I delved more into research is, like you said, we don't have any data. And like as a Caribbean people, we are not like anybody else. We have a history that not emitted, but a history that stems from slavery and colonialism and so many of the issues within slavery and within colonialism were never addressed. Yep. And we have a society that stems from that with all of these problems. We have a lot of single mothers, we have, like you said, people go to the rum shop to either their problems, they get advice that may not necessarily be the best. They get a lot of unsolicited advice as well.
Yep.
Confidentiality also is not a thing.
No,
we have a lot of gossip.
That's a zero.
And I think one of the main things that I took out of my degree is confidentiality. If somebody says something, you hold it near and dear to your heart. You do not share it at all. And again, that was further impressed upon me in my first job having left university.
And we'll talk about that. All right. Now, that's my favorite part. I think that would be my favorite part
of this
interview.
Yes.
All right. So, for those of you who don't know, I'll be the one to say it. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the former attaché to the current Prime Minister of St. Lucia.
Yes.
Right? That's what makes my interview large. I want some insight into government and all of that. All right. After leaving the UWI, the first job that you got was?
I was offered a position as the personal assistant to the then leader of the opposition. needless to say, everybody when I took up the role, people thought that I was a little bit crazy, but I knew I wasn't because I had studied psychology.
Yeah.
It was a very, very, very interesting position. I thoroughly enjoyed working with Mr. Pierre. He's an amazing man. I wish that St. Lucians would have gotten an opportunity to know him the way that I got to know him as the leader of the opposition and as the prime minister. I remained with him for 3 years, and I would tell you that being in opposition and being in government is like night and day. Gosh. So I have an appreciation for both sides of the coin. I played a very intricate role in developing the manifesto. I remember it was the incumbent prime minister and myself, and some other individuals. We penned every single policy that is now being implemented. Being in government opened my eyes. I thought that the next thing that I should do, having the opportunity to work in the government, is to delve into the private sector because I had seen how things worked in government.
Okay. Before we go into the private sector, I want to speak about government for a little while longer. You spoke about things, for example, in the manifesto, and I think one of the things that the St. Lucia Labour Party used over the course of the election campaign was the involvement of youth in a lot of areas with respect to government. Of course, the youth economy. A lot of people spoke about it. People say, hey, boy, you get involved, you get a whole ministry.
Indeed.
That is exciting.
Well, that goes to show you, first of all, how near and dear the youth of St. Lucia is to the Prime Minister. I could tell you that Mr. Pierre is honest. He is absolutely sensitive to the plight of young people. He would have been privy to so many details of their lives. Campaigning is not something that it's a one-off. Day in, day out, you listen to persons who are unable to find a job, persons who are unable to meet their basic needs, persons who are talented, persons who have great ideas, but they lack the appropriate avenues to actually make these dreams a reality or turn these ideas into actual businesses where they're actually able to gain revenue and take care of themselves and their families. So having been privy to these details and these problems that the youth faced, he decided that, hey, you know what, let me create a ministry, an avenue, so that young people can find a place where they can call home, a place where they can go to, where that persons are going to listen to them and persons are going to actually help them create businesses or maintain their businesses or expand their businesses. And that's what he did with the youth economy.
Okay, so we're still talking about the youth economy because you didn't say it, but you're currently a director at the Ministry of Youth Economy.
Yes,
right?
I am.
Okay, so what I understand is that the youth economy is geared towards helping young people develop, converting hobbies into entrepreneurship. Was that the tagline?
Indeed,
I'm trying to remember.
No, right? you got it.
I got it? No. That's good. I remember something. All right, so we're converting hobbies into entrepreneurship. And I think for the last year, the youth economy has helped a number of young people, I think in excess or a little over 200 people with grants.
I think it's actually more than
200. And the last time I looked at the data, it was a little about 200. I remember the first grant. The first grants were for about 55, 60 people. I was actually one of those people because I did my reading. I did my reading. So I have to say that, the youth economy is doing a lot. That Indeed. Is one thing that I think has popped off. And a lot of young people have applied. A lot of people did not understand what a grant was as compared to a loan. And I think they're doing a good job with getting that information out. But more can be done, right?
More can always be done.
I think more can be done.
Because I think if you ever get into the mindset where you're doing absolutely all that you can, you're probably going to dwindle away. There's always more that can be done. But the youth economy is certainly filling up a void. Before the youth economy agency was formed, what I did as a personal assistant to the Prime Minister is that I would have met with all of the agencies that previously sought to help young people, to help them fund their businesses or to create businesses. And we realized that most of these agencies, there were certain gaps. Some of them
they were not doing.
Yes, things that they were not doing. So through that process, we got a 360 view of all of the deficiencies with these agencies and these organizations or these programs. And then we put together a program that is comprehensive. Of course, the youth economy is still a work in progress. It's a baby. It's very much new. But for now, I could tell you that young people are actually excited about the youth economy. The youth economy is working. We have.
Well, I'm excited.
Well,
I'm excited. And the reason I say this is because I have, how can I say? I've passed on some of that information to a lot of young people. Remember, I'm a lecturer. I teach. And sometimes I see students who, on a daily basis, they come to school. Sometimes they're hustling some cookies.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of it. And sometimes when the students leave school, no jobs.
Yes.
I remember I waited a few months and I left South Louis to get my first job. And luckily, I was able to play music and these sort of things. I could get a little stuff in my pocket. But not everyone can do that.
Exactly.
And a lot of the time, what doesn't allow us to go to express ourselves or be young entrepreneurs is access to finance.
Exactly.
And again, I feel that these grants are going a long way. Also, I'm hearing that there are loans. I want some information about that.
Well, the youth economy offers grants, and grants are, for lack of a better term, money that you don't have to pay back. Yes. And the youth economy, but there's only so much that we can do with a grant. We can't offer you, $50,000 in a grant. We offer small grants.
That's a little excess.
Yes. So if it is that you require more capital or more finance to expand your business, what the youth economy does is offer low interest loans that are are paid off over time at a very small amount, and we have a very small amount of interest being added to these loans.
Now that's what I want to hear. I don't know if you could give me a little more information on that, but what interest rate I'm looking at if I come to the youth economy and if I can apply for a loan? That's for the young people. Like sometimes they listen and they want to know.
I think it's about less than 5%, I believe. I don't want to say for sure because it would be dependent on the size of the loan that you're looking at. Okay. And then, we would decide how best to proceed based on how much funding you're looking at. But it's definitely the youth economy. It doesn't operate for profit. So there's no profit as opposed to the bank or the credit union that, they need to operate because it's a business, they need to operate at a level where they produce profit. The youth economy is not like that at all. It's just that
I'm considering somewhat along the line of a social service. I mean, we look for social services from the government, or whether it's free health care. I mean, this time we're looking at grants and so forth. So it's interesting what can come from it and the direction that it's going. So again, under your stewardship, I'm hoping as one of the directors, that we could see a bit more, hear a bit more, because we don't hear that much from the Youth Economy Agency. I want to hear a bit, I want some interviews. I want you to come onto the radio and tell us, tell the young people exactly what's going on, because I could only do so much. I only have that much information, you know. So, thank you.
Well, certainly the Youth Economy has a very proficient communications officer, and I'm sure that together we can definitely get the word out there. The Youth Economy has gone into various communities. I know we've been in Sufra, we've been in the South. There's actually an office in Viewfort because we're looking at the youth that may not typically want to come up to the north, and everything is centralized in the north. And one of the aims of the agency is to be accessible to all youth, not just youth that are in a particular location, but everywhere across St. Lucia. We want the young people to know that, hey, there's this agency that solely exists for you to become financially independent, for you to have a thriving business. We don't just offer financing, but we offer mentorship.
Right,
we
offer coaching and so forth. I know that.
Yes. Right now, the Youth Economy is accepting applications for persons who want to learn bookkeeping, and that is a very important part of business. You have to ensure that your books are in order. This is the only way that you're going to know whether you're profitable or whether you're operating at a loss. And from that information, you can decide how would you proceed as a business, whether there are some changes that you have to make, and how you're going to go about making these changes.
Well, speaking of business, you mentioned earlier that you currently business owner.
Yes.
And I think we only have about 10 minutes left, but I think we need to spend some time on that. So, Jodie, honestly, what pushed you into that direction?
Okay, so I would have mentioned previously that after having worked in the public sector alongside the Prime Minister, I think that the only way to have a 360 view of the society is to
Jump into the private
sector. And my, has it been a journey? Like I said before, I own the trending hotspot Japanos in Rodney Bay. I would have started that business, we're in January. I would have registered that business sometime in November 2022, and we opened our doors in October 2023. So it
Almost
was a process. It was a process, and I could tell you about so many obstacles, so many deficiencies that I faced as a young entrepreneur.
Now we got to talk about that. Let's talk. I think we could talk about it. All right? You know, 'cause honestly,
I hope I don't step on anybody's
we
toes.
always talk about the good, but we don't talk about the bad. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes it's good to highlight because that's some of the shortcomings that, again, aspiring entrepreneurs may face. So we need to prepare you for that. You know,
Definitely.
we are not gonna come and say that everything was flowers. You know,
Everything was cook and curry.
It wasn't. You
No,
know,
it wasn't.
I mean, if you're saying that you took almost 11 months, almost a
Yes.
year, you know, to get thing running, there are a lot of obstacles there, I can
Many.
imagine. So let's talk about at least probably one or two of them.
Okay, or shall I start? Okay, one or two. I think I had a lot of difficulties with the banking sector. Actually, opening a business account, that was a very lengthy process, a very draining process. Up to yesterday, I was having a conversation with my bank about, just an obstacle that I was trying to overcome. And I said to the said individual, I don't think that the banking sector has taken up its rightful place in St. Lucia. I think that the banking sector, it exists as a club where, we have these rules, and sometimes you have to ask yourself, what are these rules for? Are you trying to help your clients be financially independent? Are you trying to help them access funding? Because logically, it doesn't seem that way. And I think that sometimes, as a society, we need to demand better from our banking system. We have to. Otherwise, we're going to be... I think that if we don't, then my son, who is 9 months, he's going to be facing the same problems that I did today. And if that happens, then, what was I doing? And this is why I say we have to demand better from our banking system. I talk to my friends all the time, and I ask them who are also in business, how are things going, and they would say, it's horrible. And I am like, okay, well, it's not just me. Recently, I spoke to my accountant, and she told me that she'd be leaving her bank to go to another bank because they're just not trying to facilitate her in any way. It's like, okay, well, this is what I want to do. And they're like, well, we don't do this. They don't ask, well, how can I help you? Let's see what we can do. Maybe you can do this. Maybe you can do that. It's like, this is what we do, and we are not deviating from that. And I think if that's the way that the banks operate, then maybe AI is going to take over. AI will definitely take over because there's no creative thinking. There's no problem solving. It's just that this is what we're doing. And if you want anything else, you need to go somewhere else.
What we have now is a situation where a lot of the banks are not national, the multinationals. And what happens, sometimes they have a structure from that country. That structure comes down to St. Lucia. We can't afford to, deviate or change. So sometimes I think we put some pressure on them. But
pressure is necessary.
It's necessary.
It's very much necessary. And if a company is coming from elsewhere and implementing something in your society that is not applicable, then you're not meeting the needs of the society. Yeah. So I think you need to ask yourself, whose needs am I meeting and what am I prepared to do about it? I think if you as an organization, you're going to open up your business in St. Lucia, you have to ask yourself, what is going to be different because I came this way? And if the answer is nothing at the end of the day, then you're not fulfilling any purpose. Then what's the point of you being open?
I understand that. Well, that's an interesting point because Japan News is actually a sushi restaurant.
Yes, it is.
Actually owned by a millennial, which is interesting. We don't have a lot of young there's franchise owners in St. Lucia.
Yes.
For those who don't know, Japanese is actually a franchise.
It is.
Japanese. I mean, I tried to.
I think.
I gave you 2 different pronunciations in last year. I gave you Japanese and Japan.
Well,
correct. Japanese.
Japanese.
Okay. Oh my God.
Japanese.
Biting that one. All right. I'll let you say it. Right. Actually, a franchise and young. I don't disclose your age, but a young
millennial.
a millennial
yes.
business owner. What difference does the business bring to St. Lucia?
Okay, well, definitely Japanese cuisine. I think that we're the only restaurant that serves ramen in St. Lucia, and I would just like to throw in there that we serve the best ramen in St. Lucia. And if you
I can attest to that.
Right, and if you would like to contest that statement, then come over and have a bowl of miso ramen, shoyu ramen, negikara ramen, tantan ramen.
Nice. See, you can pronounce all these things.
Definitely.
You can pronounce them.
It's my business.
Yeah, I know you can. But sometimes, actually, I saw something online recently. Someone was commenting on the food at the restaurant, and I had to step in for a second, not because I know you, but because sometimes I feel that people are not open to trying things, and we, again, afraid to deviate from the norm or deviate from what we know. So because my mother probably cooks food that way,
yes,
automatically if I go to a restaurant and the food doesn't taste that way, that they say that the food is not...
It's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
You understand?
I know. First of all, I think people are going to talk if you do anything. And in the words of a former president, he said, all publicity is good publicity. So if you're talking about my...
I know that president. And he's true. It's true.
So if you're talking about my food and you're bold enough to put on your status or that the food is not good, great, good, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, because somebody would actually go there to see if that person is actually talking trash or if the food is actually good.
And I will actually tell you that at least I'm being a little bit conservative. 95% of the feedback has been very positive.
But I actually was the first person to sit and eat at the restaurant.
Yes.
I think I was there for the...
I remember you were calling me after I told you that we were going to be opening a restaurant. I think you were calling me every week. So when y'all opening?
I was, because that's one of the things that I really appreciate. I like to try new food. That's why I've probably been to the restaurant about 5 or 6 times, and I've tried something new every time I've gone. So I think it's important that people actually have an open mind, especially when...
And an open palate, too.
Yeah, an open palate. That's the most important one, because you will taste something that is not normal. You'll taste something that you probably haven't tasted somewhere else.
Well, that comes without saying, because it's Japanese, and we St. Lucia. So... Of course, we're not going to prepare the food as you would at your house, or, as your mother would, or you would go to any other restaurant in St. Lucia. But what I can say and what I'm confident about is that we are a franchise and we follow recipes that are offered across Europe, Dubai, Paris, Romania, Vienna. It's not just in St. Lucia. I did not create these recipes myself. The recipes were created by our head chef, Kana, whose family owns over 4 generations of ramen and Japanese restaurants in Tokyo. So it's not Jodie who's creating the recipes as much as I am the one who owns it. And these recipes are amazing. I get excited when I try them, or I try something on the menu. And I'm like, this is really, really good.
Actually, I have to ask. I always wanted to ask you that. Have you tried everything on the menu?
I have not tried everything on the menu.
That's crazy.
I have not tried everything on the menu. You know what? Because there are certain things that I like. And it's always like every time I try something new, I really like it. And then I have it for like
a week.
2 weeks. I have it for 2 weeks. I think I spent 3 weeks having a miso ramen. I was just like, can I get a miso every day? But now, it's New Year. New style.
So you're trying something new?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't mind me asking, what's the flavor for the week? What are you going with this week?
This week, poke bowl, salmon poke bowl.
Okay. Right, I put a pin in that one. Right.
And you should try. Have you had the poke bowl?
You've asked me to try it a few times.
I think I did the last time you were here.
I didn't try it.
And you said you don't like raw fish.
No, I don't.
But then you know what's funny is that you won't even know if it's raw. It's that good.
Well, the next time I pop in, probably sometime this weekend, I'll try.
Definitely. I highly recommend having a salmon roux.
We're out of time, but I'm going to ask you about 3 more questions. Yeah, I have to choose because I have
Go ahead.
I have about 5 I didn't ask. What is your favorite part about being an entrepreneur?
Being an entrepreneur, you get to be very flexible. And having a young child, I think that I get an opportunity to balance being a mother and being an entrepreneur very well. Also, being an entrepreneur is very, very dynamic. I often say I don't know which one is more anxiety-inducing, whether it's being the personal assistant to the Prime Minister or being an entrepreneur, because you just never know what's going to happen. You might wake up and to a call or a message that your kitchen is flooding, and that has happened. You might wake up to, you not being able.
Some people gotta come to work. You understand? You probably have to come in and film.
Exactly. Just this week, I think my supervisor, he's not well. And I'd like to shout out Benji. Benji, big up yourself. Uber Benji. He's a fantastic employee. And, also I would just like to also take this opportunity to shout out my team. They are amazing. And, I feel very blessed to be working with each and every one of them who have supported me and helped me turn Japanos from a dream into a reality.
I want to big up my partner too, Alex. I had a shout out my partner one time. That's my guy.
Big up yourself, Alex.
Okay, so 2 more questions. We're running out of time. Where do you see yourself, or rather the business, in the next 5 years?
So these are 2 questions. Where do I see myself?
No, rather the business.
Okay.
I like you. I like the business too. So the business. Where do you see the business in the next 5 years?
Okay, well, I own the master franchise for this part of the world, the Caribbean, the Americas, and right now we are looking to expand not only in St. Lucia but the region and the USA very, very soon. Of course, it's not as it's easier said than done, and I know that it's going to be a challenge, but I think that having emerged out of this experience of over a year of taking Japanos from an idea to a reality, I can handle anything. So that is where Japanos is heading. It's heading to the south, it's heading to Barbados, it's heading to Trinidad, it's heading to Antigua.
I take that 100%. I'm taking that 100%. All right. What advice would you give someone opening their own business? I mean, that is the most important question I think you could answer today, because you have been through it over the last 13 or 14 months. So that is my final question to you.
Okay, first of all, I will say get your mental health right. If your mental health is not where it needs to be, it could possibly break you, because you never know what obstacles you're going to encounter as an entrepreneur. So you need to be overwhelmingly optimistic but realistic at the same time. You need to ensure that you have a very good support circle, because if you encounter obstacles and you decide to tell persons who are close to you about these obstacles and they are not encouraging and rather discouraging,
you may want to stop.
Yes, so that is important. I will say mental health, mindset, that is the most important thing. If you have a good mindset, you have a positive mindset, you can do anything, you can conquer the world.
And I believe that as well.
For sure.
Right. Jodie, I want to say thank you so much for coming in today. I mean, honestly, thank you for coming in. She wanted to give me a virtual interview, and I had to say, you couldn't give me a virtual interview for the first interview of the year. Impossible. So I'm taking it.
Yes.
Right? I want to say thank you so much for coming in. I hope I can see you again, probably in a different capacity. Of course, good luck with the restaurant.
Thank you.
You know I support you 100%.
1,000%, bro.
I actually came there the day before yesterday. You were not there.
You were there?
I was.
What did you have?
I actually didn't have anything. I came to look for you, to talk about the interview.
Oh.
Yeah, imagine that. But again, good luck. I mean, for the rest of the year. I mean, January is slow by. Pick it up.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to see that passing place was back.
You understand? Usually on a weekend, it's bursting.
Yeah.
That's bursting new flavors.
That's what I like to.
Bursting new people.
All right, guys. Remember, if you are in Rodney Bay, be sure to check out
Japanos.
You understand? You have to pronounce it for me.
Japanos.
Opposite
Japanos.
Republic Bank.
Opposite Republic Bank in Rodney Bay. We are the best restaurant, and I make no bones about it. You know, we have flavor, we have great customer service.
Yes.
The customer service is top tier, and we are ready and willing to serve you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jodie. This has been another edition of Youth Unplugged, brought to you by the Bank of St. Lucia. That's all the bank you need. Remember, you could own your home with Bank of St. Lucia. Think about their mortgages. You want to own a debit card or credit card, check out Bank of St. Lucia as well. Guys, my name is Khalidd Vidal. This has been another edition of Youth Unplugged for the year. First show for the year 2024. I'll be back again next week for another edition of Youth Unplugged.
Get more financial freedom with a Bank of St. Lucia Visa credit card. With a Bank of St. Lucia Visa credit card, you're not just spending, you're winning every